Hello cruisers and cruisers to be. If you're watching this, you're probably planning a cruise and feeling quite overwhelmed. There is a lot of information in this video because there is so much variety within the cruise industry. It's so important that you pick the right cruise line. I think it's possibly the most important decision you will make when cruising. If you'd like to download this guide that I've made to go along with this video, check out the link in the description. That makes it really easy to see everything in one place. But for now, let's get straight into it and start with the big American cruise lines. If you're considering your first cruise, these are probably the ones that you've seen advertised. I do think it's important though not to just go with the biggest cruise lines. Sometimes the smaller ones are better value for money, they include more and they go to more interesting places. Carnival Cruise Line are the largest cruise line in terms of passenger numbers. Last year they actually carried over 20% of the entire world's cruises, which is just incredible. Carnival cruises are all about the fun, all about the relaxed atmosphere. They tend to attract a younger cruise market. It tends to be younger adults and families, and Carnival cruises are generally regarded as being pretty good value for money. Most Carnival cruises do take place around America. Very rarely they will come to Europe, but generally speaking, they're in the Caribbean, they're in Alaska, they're over that kind of way. Carnival actually do have some formal nights, but it's all very relaxed and it's all very optional. The next cruise line is Royal Caribbean, and if you've seen any cruise line advertised anywhere, you've probably seen Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean are known for these massive ships with these crazy innovations in cruise ship design. Their cruise ships often have big internal neighborhoods. They'll have parks in the middles, they'll have zip lines, they'll have skydive simulators, surf simulators, all kinds of crazy things. As far as big and exciting cruise ships go, Royal Caribbean are leading the way by a mile. The food on board is generally regarded as being pretty good, and I would agree with that. The entertainment on board is also pretty good. They will have these big Broadway productions. If you just go for a wander around a Royal Caribbean ship, you're gonna find something going on somewhere, day or night. The schedule is pretty busy on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Again, Royal Caribbean do have some formal nights, but they are more of a suggestion than an enforced dress code, and it is pretty relaxed. Moving on to Norwegian Cruise Line now, and this is a personal favourite of mine. Norwegian are famous for their approach to freestyle dining. They don't have set dining times, they don't have set tables, they don't have set restaurants, you don't have to table share. When you're hungry, you just show up to a restaurant and you eat. It's all very easy. Norwegian's cruise ships do range in size, and the bigger ones do have things like go-karts, laser tag. You'll find all kinds of crazy things on the newer Norwegian ships. Norwegian Cruise Line are also particularly popular with solo cruisers. They have loads of solo cabins which are specifically designed for solo travellers. They also have a solo lounge and they put on solo events. Norwegian do cruise all over the world, and no matter where you are, if you're cruising with Norwegian, you're going to have a pretty busy daily schedule. Everything on the daily schedule for any cruise line is optional. You don't have to take part in anything, but if you go for a walk around a Norwegian Cruise Line ship, you're going to bump into things happening everywhere. Early in the morning till late at night, they have a jam-packed schedule. Norwegian actually have two private islands, one in the Bahamas and one in Belize. I have not made it there yet, but it is a dream of mine. They look amazing. In the 1970s, Princess Cruises was shown on a TV show called The Love Boat, and ever since they've provided a relaxing, romantic type of cruising. Cruises with Princess go all over the world, and no matter where you are, you'll be cruising in comfort. I actually took a cruise around Asia with Princess, which was out of this world amazing. If you ever get the chance to cruise to Asia, definitely do. In the next video in this course, we're going to be covering where you should cruise to, and Asia is definitely one of my favourites. If you'd like to learn more about that, check out the description. Princess have completely changed the way that technology works on cruise ships. They have this little thing called Ocean Medallion, which you can use to order drinks, you can use it to open your cabin door, you can use it for all kinds of stuff. When it comes to cruise ship technology, Princess are definitely one of the best, and they're also one of the best for food. The food on Princess Cruises is fantastic. The onboard schedule is a bit more relaxed than some of the other cruise lines we have just mentioned. That said, there's still a lot going on Princess Cruises. You'll definitely not be bored, but you will be relaxed. Their cruise ships are gorgeous and they tend to have a lot of swimming pools, and it feels like a lot of space per person. Princess Cruises are a bit more traditional with their formal nights. They do have formal nights and people do dress elegantly. If you're somebody who would like to relax, who would like to go to formal night, who would like to eat, then Princess Cruises are great for you. On to Celebrity Cruises now, who are owned by Royal Caribbean, and they focus on modern luxury. They're really well known for their restaurants and all of the food on board. If you're a big foodie, then Celebrity are definitely a good choice. Even if you just eat in the buffet, that buffet is the best buffet that I've ever been in on a cruise ship or land or anywhere. The food on Celebrity is just great. Day-to-day life on board is a bit more relaxed. There's quite a lot of emphasis on cultural immersion and destination immersion. Celebrity do have formal nights, and guests that cruise with Celebrity do quite like to dress up. Cruises with Holland America are a bit more traditional. They do have formal nights and guests do dress quite elegantly. The onboard experience is pretty relaxing and the service is widely regarded as being some of the best service at sea. The food is also very, very high in quality. Holland America do tend to attract an older audience, although you will find everybody on their cruises. Cruises with Disney Cruise Line are full of Disney magic. I think you can probably imagine what a Disney cruise is like, and I think you're probably right. On board you'll find big musical productions, you'll find deck parties, you'll find Disney characters wandering around the restaurants. Disney do provide quite a premium food and service experience. The food is very, very good and the service is very, very personal. Disney sail mostly around America. You will occasionally see them in Europe, but generally speaking, they mostly stick around America. Disney are of course popular with families, but there's also a massive market of people who love cruising with Disney without children. Groups of adults, couples love Disney cruises. There's actually quite a lot of adult only spaces on Disney cruises, so even if you're not cruising with children, you can have a fantastic cruise with Disney, and I know loads of people who do. The onboard experience on a Disney cruise is very, very busy. There's lots going on, they do have formal nights, and they are quite elegant. On now to something that is completely different for the cruise industry. This is Virgin Voyages. Virgin Voyages recently launched their first ship, Scarlet Lady, and it's this rebellious, luxurious, crazy kind of cruise. The onboard experience is going to be all about fun, it's going to be very relaxed, it's going to be about detox and retox. I think that says a lot. Virgin Voyages are definitely targeting a younger cruise market. They're a very new cruise line, they're definitely one to watch. The cruise fare includes loads, it includes Wi-Fi, it includes all food on board, and it includes some basic beverages, gym classes, and probably more things that I can't remember. Virgin have created a cruise for somebody who doesn't do cruises, for a new to cruise market, and they've done away with some cruising staples like buffets. Cruises with the Virgin Voyages are going to be very, very busy. There's a lot going on and there's a lot included in the cruise fare. This video is the first video in a course that I've just released, which is called Complete Cruising, the 4-step guide to becoming a confident cruiser. In the course you'll find video lessons which will take you through how to find your perfect cruise, book your perfect cruise, plan and pack for your perfect cruise, and make the most out of your time and money on board. Moving on now to the cruise lines from the UK. I think it's important that even if you're not from the UK, you consider cruising with British cruise lines. I know plenty of Americans, Canadians, Australians who have cruised with UK cruise lines and they've really loved it. If you're coming all the way over to Europe or to the UK, you might as well immerse yourself in British culture, have a cup of tea, have a Yorkshire pudding, and bring your UK plug adapters. The biggest cruise line that we have here in the UK is P&O Cruises. P&O cruise ships are very instantly recognisable because all of them have a massive Union Jack on them. The experience on board is very, very British. You'll find kettles in the cabin, you'll find UK plug sockets, you'll find afternoon tea, and they do have this party called the Great British Sail Away where everybody waves these Union Jack flags and they play very, very cheesy music. It's very silly, but I personally enjoy it. I think it's quite a lot of fun. P&O Cruises do cruise worldwide, but they base quite a lot of their cruise ships around the UK. If you want to cruise from the UK without flying, P&O are probably quite a good choice. P&O tend to attract a family market because they often offer free kids places or discounted kids places. That said, you will find people of all ages cruising with P&O. On all P&O cruises you will find formal nights and the dress codes are quite strictly enforced. Most guests who cruise with P&O do quite enjoy the dressing up and some really get into it, wearing their prom dresses, their wedding dresses. You'll see everything on a P&O cruise. It is possible to cruise with P&O even if you don't want to take part in the formal nights. They can be avoided by eating in the buffet or eating somewhere else. That said, most people who cruise with P&O seem to really like the traditional type of cruising. P&O do offer fixed and flexible dining, so if you're someone who wants to table share or wants to eat at a certain time, you can, but you don't have to. The entertainment and food on P&O cruises is generally regarded as being pretty good, and I would agree with that. A quick note here, although P&O in the UK is traditional and relaxed, P&O Australia is completely different. P&O Australia is very relaxed, it's very fun, it's more of a party cruise than P&O in the UK. P&O Australia have 3 cruise ships and they were all built before 2000, whereas P&O in the UK do have much newer cruise ships. On now to Cunard. Cunard focus very heavily on the traditional cruising market. They have formal nights, the dress codes are very strictly enforced, they have afternoon tea, they have string quartets. If you love formal nights and the chance to dress up, a Cunard cruise is definitely for you. There's no cruise line that does formal nights quite like Cunard. The dress codes are enforced shipwide after 6 PM, so they are a bit difficult to avoid, but you can use the free room service if you don't fancy dressing up. Cunard currently have 3 ships, including the only remaining ocean liner, the Queen Mary 2. The Queen Mary 2 goes across the Atlantic and back, and the other 2 cruise ships cruise worldwide. Cunard are very well known for their afternoon teas. If you are cruising with Cunard, make sure you go to afternoon tea. The onboard experience on a Cunard cruise is pretty relaxed. There's not too much on the daily schedule, and the evenings tend to end quite early. Maritime are an independent British cruise line that provide cruises on small ships that tend to be pretty relaxed but quite traditional. All of the cruise ships for Cruise Maritime are pretty small and a lot of them are quite old. The oldest cruise ship in the Cruise Maritime fleet was built in 1948. So if you're someone who likes your cruise ship history, definitely cruise with Cruise Maritime. Most itineraries with Cruise Maritime are adult only. They cruise a lot from the UK and they're regarded as being really good value for money. You can get some seriously cheap cruises with Cruise Maritime, especially if you book them last minute. Cruise Maritime do have fixed dining, they do have dress codes, and the onboard experience is pretty relaxed. On now to one of my favourite cruise lines who are called Marella. Marella were previously known as Thompson and they cruise on small and mid-sized cruise ships. Cruises with Marella are very relaxed and the dining options are very flexible. There's a lot of food included in your cruise fare and the cruise fare also includes alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. Gratuities are all included too and the onboard experience is quite British. You'll find a lot of families cruising with Marella and young adults and older adults too. They're generally regarded as being really good value for money because there's so much included in the cruise fare. The food and the entertainment on board is some of the best that I've personally ever had at sea and it's generally regarded as being pretty good. Marella make the whole cruise experience very simple, very easy. It is worth noting that most passengers that cruise with Marella are British and the food and the entertainment and everything on board is generally geared towards a British passenger. On next to Fred Olsen, who provide a traditional cruising experience on small and mid-sized cruise ships. The onboard experience on a Fred Olsen cruise is pretty relaxing and they're generally regarded as being quite good value for money. You can pick up a bargain with Fred Olsen if you know where to look. Most of the ships in Fred Olsen's fleet are pretty small, and this means that they can get into cruise ports that the bigger cruise ships can't get into. Fred Olsen also hosts a mystery cruise where the passengers don't actually know where they're going. All they know is where they're getting on and where they're getting off and how long they're gone for, and the rest of it is a mystery. I think that sounds quite fun. Fred Olsen currently have 4 cruise ships, all of which were built before the year 2000. The last British cruise line in our list is Saga. Saga are a 50+ cruise line, or you can be 40+ if you're cruising with someone who's over 50, but generally speaking Saga have quite an old passenger demographic because of that. The cruise fare with Saga does include Wi-Fi, it does include travel insurance, it includes drinks, it includes food, and the experience on board is generally pretty relaxed. You're very well looked after on a Saga cruise, and the food is some of the best you'll find. Saga do have formal nights, people do get dressed up and they do really enjoy it. On now to the cruise lines that are based in Europe. We'll have German cruise lines, Italian cruise line, Greek cruise lines, and it's really important that you don't overlook these cruise lines. I personally really like going to Greece and cruising with a Greek cruise line, or going to Italy and cruising with an Italian cruise line. Personally, it just makes me feel more like I am abroad. Some of the cruise lines in this part of the video are actually the best value for money, so make sure you're paying attention and you've downloaded that guide. If you haven't, get that from the description below. The first cruise line in the list is Hurtigruten. That's a very difficult one to say, and they are leaders in expedition cruising. Cruises with Hurtigruten cruise Norway year-round. Most cruise lines tend to leave Norway in the winter because it's dark all of the time, but Hurtigruten are the only ones that are there year-round. They do cruises to find the northern lights and all kinds of things. They have a number of cruise ships, all of which are pretty small. They're definitely more functional than luxurious, but on a cruise with Hurtigruten, you're there to see what you're there to see outside. The ship really isn't the destination, it's kind of just a way to get you there. On now to Celestyal. I took a cruise recently with Celestyal and it was one of the best cruises I've ever been on. They're a Greek cruise line and they cruise all around the Greek islands on their 2 cruise ships. Cruises with Celestyal attract cruisers from all over the world, so there's multiple languages spoken on board and everything's kind of done in a lot of languages. That said, it was very organised on board, and for what is included in the cruise fare, Celestyal cruises are great value for money. Cruises with Celestyal actually visit more than 1 cruise port per day. In a 4-night cruise we managed to visit 7 ports, which is just unheard of with most other cruise lines. The onboard experience is very relaxed and the food is very good. You're not really on the ship too much when you're visiting 2 ports per day, but if you do really want to see Greece, I would definitely recommend a Celestyal cruise because it surrounds you by Greek language, Greek food, Greek people, Greek places. It's brilliant. There are a lot of families on board, younger cruisers, older cruisers, everyone really cruises with Celestyal. The onboard experience is all very relaxed. On now to a cruise line which is either pronounced AIDA or AIDA, depending on who you are. They're a German cruise line and they focus mostly on the German cruise market. That said, even if you don't speak German, you can cruise with AIDA without any problems. The onboard experience is very relaxed, it's very fun, it's very chilled. Their cruise ships are instantly recognisable because they have these eyes and these massive lips on the front. So if you've ever seen an AIDA cruise ship, you will recognise it. It can be a little bit difficult to book a cruise with them because they don't have an English website, so I definitely recommend you use a travel agent if you would like to cruise with AIDA. Or AIDA, whatever you want to call it. Tui Cruises are a German cruise line who are again focused mostly on the German cruise market. That said, you can cruise with them without speaking German. Most of the staff on board will speak English. To be honest with you, they probably learned English before they learned German. I certainly found that on some of my cruises. The onboard experience is very relaxed, it's very flexible. The cruise fare actually includes your gratuities and your drinks, so there's not really much more to worry about when you're on board. All of Tui's ships are called Mein Schiff and then a number, which translates to my ship. So we've got my ship 1, my ship 2, my ship 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not the most inventive cruise ship names, but instantly recognizable. Passengers cruising with Tui are able to smoke on their balconies. It's one of the few cruise lines that still allows that, so if you're someone who really doesn't like the smell of smoke, maybe avoid the balconies on the Tui cruise ships. If you're someone who likes to smoke, then go ahead, you can smoke loads of places on these cruise ships. Next, on to the Italian cruise lines, and we're going to start with Costa Cruises because they are the most Italian cruise line I can think of. The experience on a Costa Cruise is mostly geared towards an Italian audience, but everything is done in English. There's an English representative on board, so it's definitely possible to cruise with them speaking only English. I've done it, loads of people do it, it's not a problem. Things like the food and the entertainment on board is geared towards people who speak Italian, so it can be kind of difficult. If you're a lover of Mediterranean food and pasta and cheese and pizza, you're going to love a Costa Cruise. Costa Cruises provides some of the best value for money in the entire cruise market. If ever you see a cruise that is something crazy like £40 per night, chances are it is with Costa. There isn't much included in the Costa cruise fare, but you really haven't paid for very much in your cruise fare, so that's not really a surprise. The ships themselves are very lively, they're very bright, they're very loud, they're very colourful. Costa Cruises are very popular with families and younger cruisers, and generally people who just want to have a good time. Dinner is a massive deal on Costa Cruises. There's multiple courses. I remember the waiters dancing, it went on for hours. It's quite an event. If you like Italian food, definitely cruise with Costa. The next cruise line in the list is MSC Cruises. I've cruised with MSC a number of times and I really like them. The main language spoken on board is normally English, but announcements and things will be done in multiple languages. MSC Cruises are possibly the most flexible when it comes to itineraries because you can get on and off at pretty much any cruise port. If you want to get on and just stay for 2 nights and get off, that's fine. If you want to stay for 5 nights, fine. You want to stay on there for 4 weeks, no problem, you can do that. MSC are very popular with families and younger cruisers. Their ships are very elegant and very modern. On the newer, bigger ships, you'll find ropes courses, you'll find water slides, you'll find all kinds of things on there. MSC have some of my personal favourite cruise ships. One thing that MSC offers that other cruise lines don't is a status match program. If you have a loyalty status with another cruise line or some hotel brands, they'll actually match that and they'll treat you as if you have cruised with MSC loads of times. This gets me some freebies, some free meals in specialty restaurants, a chocolate ship, all kinds of things. So definitely check that out if you are considering a cruise with MSC. MSC cruise all over the world and they recently opened their first ever private island in the Bahamas, which looks amazing. Now that you've found your perfect cruise, you need to decide where you're going to go, when you're going to go, how you're going to book it, what you're going to pack, what planning you need to do before you go, what you need to pay for on board. There are so many things to consider when you're thinking about a cruise, so many questions. I have all of the answers for you in a very easy to follow step-by-step guide which will take you through everything you need to know about cruising. In the course, you'll not only find 4 chapters full of video courses, but I'm also giving you some bonus downloads. I'm going to give you 50 of my best ideas on how to save money. Even if you just implement one of the money saving tips, you're going to save enough money to buy the course, not to mention the time you're going to save and the stress. And I'm going to teach you how I pack light for all of my cruises. I've often cruised for 1 or 2 weeks in a carry-on cabin bag only, and I really believe that everybody can do that. You will not regret the decision to book a cruise. A cruise is the best way to see the world while making memories with your friends and family that will last forever. That was a lot of information. Well done if you've made it to this point. I hope that makes it slightly clearer about which cruise lines are for you. If you haven't already downloaded the guide, make sure you do that. That is it from me this time. I will see you in the next video.